So the Atlanta Falcons had an interesting, albeit controversial offseason with a few splashy moves and maybe another one on the way, but will that translate to wins come the fall? The offense looks like it's in a really good shape. Of course, you're bringing back Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, and a solid offensive line. Yes, you lost Drew Dahlman in free agency, but you have what I think is a very serviceable, definitely starting caliber player in Ryan Neusel, ready to step up and take on that role. And of course, you also have Michael Penix in his first full year as a starter. I believe in the guy. I don't expect him to all of a sudden be a top 10 quarterback in the league right away, but I expect him to be at least serviceable, make a few big plays every game, and put points on the board. As for the defense, things are a little bit more questionable there, but definitely we have taken steps in the right direction. Of course, you have the rookies James Pierce and Jalen Walker, along with Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, and some undrafted guys like Kobe Bryant and Nick Nash that have a good chance to contribute to this football team. Unfortunately, the defense is relying on guys like Rukaroro and Jalen Walker and James Pierce to step up to make a difference right away on this defense. Otherwise, we might be in some trouble. While I personally like Mike Hughes, the second cornerback slot is a question mark. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be serviceable, at least not a big hole or question mark in the roster. But you do wish you had some more depth there and maybe a stronger cornerback too. The linebacker room seems solid. Caden Ellis is a complete badass, in my opinion, the most underrated linebacker in the whole league. And then you bring in Divine Diablo in free agency, who looks like he's going to be just really solid. And again, at least someone who's not going to be a question mark or leave a hole in the roster, someone who's going to come in and give you starting caliber snaps. And the safety room is honestly a strength. You have Jesse Bates, who might just be the best safety in the league. The rookie Xavier Watts, who's a complete ball hawk. And you also have Jordan Fuller, who I'd rather not start. If you watch Panthers games last year, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But still, good depth in that room and just really solid all around. Now, the new wild card starting today would be Micah Parsons, who's now apparently available for trade. Apparently, there's a potential deal on the table involving Tyler Algier, Kyle Pitts, a 2027 first-round pick, and a few pick swaps here and there, maybe another pick. It's a little rich for me, but at the same time, I would not be mad at all if they got something like that done. Micah Parsons is someone who's going to come in and immediately make an impact at the weakest part of this team, which is a huge deal. I think it will transform this defense. And if you're someone like Terry Fontenot, whose job is on the line this year, I'm really considering it. The Falcons have had this mentality, especially this offseason, of forget the future, forget all of that. Our jobs are on the line this year, and the fans are expecting to make the playoffs this year, probably win a division. So we got to do everything in our power to get that done, which is why usually I'm not super into these potential blockbuster trades. They just don't usually happen, especially for a team like the Falcons. But this one, honestly, wouldn't really surprise me. What does give me some pause is you just drafted Jalen Walker and James Pierce, who I think both are going to be good, especially I went to training camp yesterday. Oh my gosh, James Pierce is just almost constantly in the backfield, just constantly wrecking havoc. I think he's going to be a baller. So the question is if you're going to have these two young guys step up and be really good and bring that pressure on the quarterback that this team has been needing, why do you need Micah Parsons? Now, don't get me wrong. Again, like I said, Micah Parsons is a player that comes in and transforms any defense he's on immediately. But is that really worth the money you're going to have to give him and all the future assets you're going to have to give up to get him? Now, on the flip side of that, we're about to have Kirk Cousins off the books, and we have a young quarterback who we're not paying virtually any money to. So if you were going to make a move like that, now would be the time to do so. So really, at the end of the day, this is a move where I'm not mad either way. In fact, I'm probably happy either way. If we get Micah Parsons, then awesome. We have Micah Parsons. Of course, I'm not going to complain. And if we don't, that's okay. We still have a lot of assets that we can work with. We have a young team with a lot of talent that has a lot of potential in the future. One other thing I'd like to mention is giving up Kyle Pitts in that deal. Tight end depth worries me. Now, Kyle Pitts can't block worth a shit anyway. So, Tight end. I mean, he's gotten a lot better at blocking. Don't get me wrong, but he's still definitely. It's definitely not a strength. But still, you need someone to start at tight end, and we don't really have any pass catching tight ends behind that, unless you're counting undrafted free agents, which I don't. Yes, they may develop into something later on. I'm blanking on his name right now, but as of now, I just don't see having a serviceable starter at tight end, especially when it comes to pass catching if we give up Kyle Pitts. So that is something that worries me, but could still potentially be worth it to get a player like Parsons. So yeah, offense is looking good, potential to be top 10, maybe even top 5 if Penix pans out to be really good like we think he can be. And then the defense has potential, a wide range of outcomes, but definitely potential to be at least serviceable at an average or so. And that's really all we need from this defense if the offense is going to do what we think they're going to do. So all that being said, where does that stack up in the fall? How is this going to translate to wins and making the playoffs and having success there? Well, just like I said for the defense, I think this is going to be a wide range of outcomes from this team. I could see 7 or so wins. I could also see 11 or 12 wins. It just depends on Penix, and it depends on who steps up on the defense. Me, I tend to be a little bit optimistic, so I'm going with somewhere around 10, 11 wins. The schedule definitely allows for that. The beginning of the stretch is tough, but I do find that the latter half of the schedule, you can start putting together win streaks, and you can start to have momentum going to the playoffs, which is something this team has been missing in recent years. We'll beat the Buccaneers, we'll be leading the division, and then in the latter half of the season, everything starts to fall off the rails. The best case in point being last year where we were 6-3, beat the Buccaneers twice, and still lost the division. But I really do think with some new gas on the defense, a new quarterback gunslinger leading the way, and just a really, really solid roster around him, I think this team could have some success. Now, if I was a betting man, logic tells me to bet on the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are a really good team. You know, something that's been ticking me off this offseason is you'll have power rankings where the Bucs are top 10 or near the top 10, which is fine by me as a Falcons fan, someone who hates the Bucs. The Bucs are a really good football team. But I don't think we're that far behind. I think both these teams are very comparable, both in the way that the rosters are constructed and just generally how good they are. Mike Evans is their Drake London. You know, Bucky Irving is their Bijan Robinson. We both have gunslinger quarterbacks that are just going to push the ball down the field. And defenses that, have some question marks, also have some really, really good players to sort of bring some juice and oomph and make interesting plays. So if you're going to have your Buccaneers in the top 10 or around there, you should not have the Falcons that far behind. I personally think this is a top 15 roster in the NFL. You can call me delusional, you can do whatever, but the offense is easily top 10, just on paper, it is. And then it has the potential, depending on Penix, to be top 5, and you have a defense with lots of promising young talent and established veterans that we know can go out and make plays. I'm going to be a little bit high on this team. Again, wide range of outcomes, but I'm tending to lean towards the more positive side of that. So my final prediction is 11 wins for this season. This is, of course, midway through training camp. Injuries could happen. We could trade for a player like Parsons that could kind of change the outcome. But even still, 11 wins is really solid for this football team. That's probably winning you the division unless the Buccaneers decide to come out and they're swinging too. But 11 wins, if you're a Falcons fan, you cannot complain about that, especially if their last 7 or so years we have endured. I feel like this season is going to be a breath of fresh air. So anyways, what do you guys think? If you enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe. I've been MIA on here for a long time, pretty much ever since the Super Bowl. And that's because I wasn't really having fun making videos. I didn't have any motivation to. I didn't really want to. I'm not trying to make a career here or something. I just make videos because I like talking about the Falcons. So now that the season is sort of getting into swing, I'm just interested in making videos again. So go ahead and subscribe if you're interested in seeing any more. I will be pumping them out all season, at least weekly, probably more often than that, and as news comes out. So just let me know what are your predictions for the season. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.